Welcome to episode 4 of the Exchange Room podcast. Here, you'll meet individuals who have been through unusual circumstances, who have journeyed to the far ends of what life has to offer, and who understand the world in a way nobody else can. Today's guest is Smirin. He started his career working in show business with world-famous celebrities in order to promote movies and create publicity stunts. He then transitioned in his career, working at Coca-Cola during the New Coke fiasco, and eventually owning his own liquor store. And I now present to you our discussion.
Hi, I'm alive.
So welcome.
Thank you. Honored to be here. I've been on a podcast before.
What do you have in your little bag of fun?
Well, I brought some show business pictures. That's me and Farrah Fawcett Majors.
Wow,
You probably weren't born yet, but there was a TV show called Charlie's Angels.
I've heard of it.
And she was fresh off of Charlie's Angels. It was a movie called Sunburn. And she was still married to Lee Majors at the time. It was a Paramount movie. Unfortunately, it didn't do too well. This movie did very well. That's John Travolta.
Yes, and what movie was this for?
Saturday Night Fever. That movie rocked the house, did very well. Now, this right here, that's me in the background. I was working on the premiere of a movie, Nashville, in Nashville. And that's Henry Gibson to the right.
Yeah.
And then that's Roy Acuff to the left. Now, Henry Gibson in the movie Nashville portrays the character Roy Acuff. And so when I saw the two of them getting out, I said, what a shot.
Yeah.
So I went and introduced the two of them. And sure enough, that's from the Associated Press. That ran all over the country. My mom saw it, may her memory be a blessing, and called me the next morning because she saw my picture in the paper. Mom will always spot her kid.
That's something, yeah.
So that's kind of a nice memory.
So now you were a publicist?
I was a publicist. I would publicize the movies or promote the movies before they opened. And then I'll show you two more. This one is the most popular one when I show it to people. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everybody likes that picture when I show it to them. Now, this is before anyone really knew who he was.
Yeah, he looks younger than I've ever seen him here.
This was during the movie. He did a movie called Conan the Barbarian. Nobody really knew who he was. I knew who he was because I started following bodybuilding when I was younger. And he came off the plane, and
What was he like?
I had a great time with him. I don't know what it'd be like now. He came off the plane with the co-star. Her name was Sandal Bergman. And I mean, again, no one really knew who he was except for maybe me. I guess the fun part was I had to find him a gym to work at. And that was challenging because they didn't have the gyms back then like they have now.
Well, he's the reason they have the gyms.
He's the reason they have them now. So this guy hadn't opened up yet, but this came on. This is before internet. I mean, just tracking down people. And he goes, yeah, I'd love to have Arnold work out in my gym. So I got to watch him work out, hang with him, at the hotel and stuff. And I'd like to go on for a run with him.
Yeah, didn't get that
I
chance.
didn't get that chance, but he did have lunch. I got to have lunch with him and hang out with him and work with him with the press and the interviews and stuff. So great guy to work with back then. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then just brought this. That's my first day when I just bought the liquor store.
Yeah. So this is
Tower.
I was trying to see if it's still around. It'd be because I would have tried to get the bottle from there, but
Well, that'd have been nice. You could have gone to my stepbrother's store in Piedmont. But that one is now called City.
City. I went to a City Wine and Spirit in Sandy Springs. Would that be the one?
So that's where you got it?
Yeah, it was across the street from a Starbucks. I don't know if.
Well, I'm glad you gave him the business.
All right. Well, yeah, that's what I meant to do, and
It
coincidentally,
worked out because my tower in that picture is now called City because he couldn't keep the name. So I just thought I'd brought some of that memorabilia.
yeah. No, this is really cool to share.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Do you interact constantly with all these different people, or is it more just a moment you see the opportunity and you take the picture?
Well, as far as this goes,
Yeah.
That was an opportunity. But as far as here, working with Arnold, and then other in these pictures with Travolta and Farrah Fawcett Majors and other ones like them, I'm working with them. We have a schedule, so I set up the schedule. Back then, there was more live TV, more live radio, and then people also read the newspaper.
Yeah.
And so they would come in the night before, usually, or- and it would be my job to pick them, have them picked up at the airport, get them to the hotel, make sure they're comfortable. And then the next day, we'd go on what they call a media tour. And I would set up the schedule to the different radio stations, TV stations, newspapers. And in some cases, if I was going to take them to another city, then I'd fly with them to the next city and do the same thing and have set up the schedule, like a day of interviews. And then sometimes it'd be a premiere of a movie there. It all depends.
Yeah.
I mean, so I remember we did the premiere of A Man Who Loves Women with Julie Andrews and Burr Reynolds. And that was in Fort Lauderdale because he lived there
Yeah.
and he had a theater there and he was involved with the boys club and the girls club there. And so we did a big premiere of the movie there with Bert and Julie. Did Dolly come to that one?
Dolly?
I worked with him on Dolly on another one. On Best of a Whorehouse in Texas.
These movies are before my times. Unfortunately, I've never seen it, but
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in the business.
yeah. Well, how did you end up in the business?
It's another great question. So I was I majored in communications at Georgia State. I had just started the program. I was one of the first communication majors. And I'd always been into movies and theaters and shows and concerts. It was just in the blood. And in the early days of networking, I used to tear tickets to this place called Theater of the Stars, and they'd had shows at this old Peachtree Playhouse, and they also had shows at the Civic Center in the summer and the winter. And I would tear tickets on opening night. Why opening night? So I can meet people.
Yeah.
So I can meet people. And so I met this gentleman by the name of Michael Parver, who's still with us. He's like 88, 89. And I also worked at this very hip boutique, men's boutique, bell bottoms, body shirts. So I was working my way through college.
Yeah.
And then Michael also shopped there. So I would see him there at these opening nights, but never really knew what he did for a living. And then he would shop at the store. And there was these shirts called Nick Nick shirts, which were very popular at the time. So I was on commission. So I would call him. I'd say, Mike, these Nick Nick shirts, got a new round of Nick Nick shirts in.
Yeah.
He'd be there in 10, 15 minutes. Basically buy every shirt off the rack.
Yeah, he loves them.
He loved them. He loved them. That was his look.
Yeah.
And finally one day I asked him what he did for a living, and he told me. I said, wow. I said, well, I'm majoring in communications. He goes, well, call me when you get out of college. He's kind of being polite, but call me when you get out of college. So he comes in. Well, I've graduated, but he didn't need anybody at the time. I said, okay. So, I'm job hunting, still working at the clothing store. Then maybe a couple months later, he comes in again and he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm still working here looking for a job.
Yeah.
He goes, are you willing to work your ass off? I said, oh my goodness. I go, yeah. He goes, you willing to travel? I go, yeah. He goes, all right. He goes, I'm going to fly to New York and have a meeting with Paramount Pictures. If I get this account, I'm going to need to hire somebody. Then the guy I worked for, Bob Gerson, unfortunately he passed. He knew Michael. All of a sudden he called me at home and he goes, Al, I think you got it.
Yeah.
Because, he called Bob to see what, just for a reference.
Yeah.
He just knew me. And Michael hired me. And my first day on the job, I rode with this reporter, Barbara Thomas, who I still stay in contact with. It was the longest yard with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
But rode with her in a limousine down to Reedsville State Prison, had dinner at the warden's house, then went into the prison to watch the movie with the inmates. Now, all this was done so Barbara could write a story.
And that's a prison movie.
Prison movie, yeah. When Burt started it. They actually did a remake of it.
It wasn't good.
Well, the first one did okay. First one did okay. Then they made a remake, a whole different version of it. But the whole idea was for Barbara to write the story how she saw the movie with the prisoners.
Yeah.
You know, publicity stunt.
Yeah. Well, that's a really neat experience.
Michael had the eye for it. He was a gifted promoter, and he mentored me. Always introduced me as his protege, so I like that.
Yeah. That's really neat.
That's kind of how it worked.
Yeah.
For publicity was you could always do paid advertising, but publicity seemed how story in the newspaper or news coverage on it, or hearing the actor live on a local radio station tend to work a lot better than paid advertising.
Yeah. Well, you want to try to get people to talk about it, and shoving something in their face isn't always, makes people hate it sometimes, I think.
But sometimes the ad itself, like, depending how bad, if it's a good movie, it's going to do business on its own. If it's a bad movie, they'll show the best film clips in the ads.
Yeah.
And hopefully they make their money back the opening weekend. If not, then it gets pulled.
Yeah. Were you giving your creative input to help figure out a good way to?
I would come up with ideas to publicize movies and events. I would, or Michael would, and events went up for the studio would too.
So, what's the favorite one that you came up with?
So we got these models to go, I think, to Cater Square and just pay everybody's parking.
Yeah.
And they were cute models. And the TV stations covered it. These girls walking around in Decatur Square, putting coins in and paying everybody's parking. Can't remember the name of the movie.
You told the news, the press that this is happening.
Yeah, and they came and covered it. And then sometimes the press things would happen that would surprise you. You had no control over. One was, I don't know if I told E.T.
Extraterrestrial?
Yeah, E.T. So I was working. This was at a press junket,
Yeah.
and then Steven Spielberg was there. And remember, I knew this movie was going to be a big hit. We were doing the press junket. And he had the press in to see the movie. They were crying in tears. It was such a great movie, great big movie. And then he was supposed to be on the cover of Time magazine. But Reagan invaded Grenada. So the cover got bumped. There was a little thing at the side that said ET on the inside, and they still ran the story. So I got picked to tell Steven Spielberg about it. So it was like one of those press junkets I was describing earlier. So we had already done the newspaper and radio station interviews. It's time to take a break for lunch. So I told him what happened. It's a Reagan invasion. And he looked at me and he says, wow. He goes, I was going to have that framed. Let's stick it at my mom's deli. And his mom owns a delicatessen in California, LA. And put it in her deli. Says, well, when your next movie will do that. And he kind of smiled like that. And sort of, and sure enough, he had other big movies after that. So
Yeah. What was the lifestyle like? Were you constantly traveling?
yeah, it was. It was. Which I enjoyed. Listen, I came from a working class family. I think the first time I saw the beach, I was 15 years old.
Really?
Grew up in Atlanta and went with another friend of mine, his family down to Daytona. I mean, so to travel like this, they, especially if I was working with a celebrity as time went on. Now there were times when I first started, they had me do field work. They'd go into small towns like Fayetteville, North Carolina, and meet with the theaters and make sure they were running becoming attractions. They were called trailers, and making sure they had posters up.
Yeah.
Then going to the newspapers and planning, giving them the press kits. But but then as time went on and I sort of grew in my career, then they had me traveling with people and going to bigger cities
Yeah.
and staying in nicer hotels.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And then I'd come back to my little humble apartment.
You like it better there than you did at
Yeah,
home?
sure. I mean, plus you're on the expense account. Now, I used to be a big runner, and my favorite thing was staying at the Plaza in New York. I mean, that place is fantastic. It is what it is. And I'd get up in the morning and order then maybe a $20 cup of coffee and juice and an English muffin from room service, and all this was paid for.
Yeah.
Then I'd get up and go for a run in Central Park. To me, was the ultimate place to run.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big runner's paradise. And a couple times I ran into people from Atlanta there that were up their own business,
Yeah.
and then come back and then shower and go to work.
Yeah. And it was a long day, I take it.
Yeah, yeah, because the movie business goes into night,
Yeah.
goes into the night. But I was young, like you.
Yeah, could do a lot.
I could do it. I
Yeah.
could do it. Now I'd probably fall asleep.
Well, what made you decide to eventually leave?
Well, it's another great question. So I was working for Columbia Pictures, and Columbia at the time was owned by the Coca-Cola Company, which is based here in Atlanta. And I worked for about 3 years, and then Coke, which is a corporate structure, um, started wanting to downsize and cut cost. So they started closing up the field offices, which I was in a field office. Columbia said, "Want to send me to New York or LA?" Now, growing up in Atlanta, Coke was it.
Yeah.
Growing up in Atlanta, Coke was it. And then they offered me a job in media relations. So everything you got to believe everything happens for a reason. But I made a man. Everything happens for a reason. But I chose to go to work for Coke in media relations and passed on the job in LA. And if I would do it over again, which we can't, I'd probably not done that.
You would have gone to LA.
Gone to LA. Yeah, I'd gone to LA. I didn't want to do New York. And even though heads roll in LA real fast, and I mean, it's a very insecure business, best way to put it.
Yeah.
And I guess I was looking for a little more security. And I'll give you an example in just a minute. So I went to work for Coke in media relations, and this was during the new Coke and the old Coke fiasco.
Yeah.
And then when that was over, it's kind of boring
Well, what you were you involved with the marketing for the new Coke?
from the publicity side.
What was that like?
Very controlled, very controlled. I was there I stayed after the Coke thing died down. And I saw that as far as growth goes with that company, the job I wanted to have, these guys weren't leaving. They were going to stay until they were retired. And I was very corporate at the time. And that's when I decided to open up my own business for about 5, 6 years. Did live shows and sporting events. And then Atlanta was a smaller town back then. So I had lunch with my stepfather, just brainstorm some ideas because I only I couldn't get past a certain level with the business. Yeah. Everybody wants to make more money. It's natural. You want to grow your business. And I couldn't seem to grow it past a certain level. So I had some other wacky ideas to start. One of them was like even buying a Subway franchise.
Yeah.
Back then, a Subway franchise was $40,000. You ever wonder why you see so many Subway franchises around here? It was nothing.
I never thought about that, but you're right. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. That's why it was very, very cheap to buy a Subway franchise back then. So I went and had lunch with him. One of my clients had the stage deli here. And I just ran some business ideas. He goes, "So you want to leave publicity?" I told him yes. He goes, "Well, He goes, in that case, he goes, I'll just sell you the tower at Moreland. Tower at Moreland. I'll sell you that. I'm tired of dealing with it anyway. He cussed a little bit, but I'm not going to cuss in your podcast. He goes, I don't need the money, and I'm tired of effing with it.
Yeah.
So he sold it to me. He sold it to me, but a very below market value.
Yeah.
And so he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. But I had to leave show business.
So what was that like?
An adjustment,
Was it,
especially that store.
were you able to take any of your past publicity, marketing, advertising experience here?
This was a whole different ballgame. Now, my stepfather did say one very bit of wisdom. He goes, remember, he goes, you're not in the liquor business. He goes, you're in the people business. So it's about relationships, it's about the customers, you know. Now I applied a lot of the stuff I learned to help make the business grow. But it was tough at first. I mean, we're talking at the time, that store at Moreland Avenue, Memorial Drive was, for lack of better words, it was a hood.
Yeah.
It was a real hood. I mean, you had Capital City Homes, which was the largest public housing place in the state. You had what they call bootleggers, which would buy and resell it.
Really?
Yeah, it was a whole different subculture.
So what was that like? Did you have to curate a certain selection based off of what was trending and what your area
Well,
wanted?
first it was easy because it was just a hood store and it was a bootlegger store.
Yeah.
So all you really sold was cognac, gin, malt liquor, Seagram's gin, Glenmore gin. I mean, it was basic Colt 45.
Yeah.
It was the largest Budweiser single outlet in the state. Budweiser was a big brand among the black community
Yeah.
and the bootleggers. And but then as time went on, so it was an easy store to buy for. But then the neighborhood started changing and gentrifying. And how did my manager put it? My night manager cabinet goes, Alan, he goes, I looked across the store at night and all the customers were white.
Yeah.
So they opened up not Atlantic Station, the Edgewood Retail District. So that place opened up and I sort of did a facelift on the store and went after the new customers.
Yeah.
But then you had to buy, you still had bootleggers, but then you had, how my manager put it, white people coming in.
Yeah. New demographic.
New demographics. Well said. Yeah.
Well, it's very interesting because there you're witnessing firsthand the shifting in Atlanta
Yeah.
that was happening.
Yeah. Now I kind of knew that was happening there because I minored in urban planning when I went to Georgia State.
Yeah.
So I knew events in that neighborhood was going to change. Got the new crowd in there and kept the old crowd.
Yeah. So there's still bootleggers now.
There are still bootleggers. They're typically in neighborhoods where people can't drive.
Yeah.
It's an illegal business being a bootlegger. I even had check cashing for a while. It tells you how crazy our country is.
What's check cashing?
Okay, another great question. So back then, people they would bring their checks in to get cashed because they didn't have bank accounts. And they didn't want bank accounts. They just wanted their cash.
Yeah.
So you would charge them a percentage of the check. But there were some bootleggers that came in that had government checks. We would cash it, which was legal, make a percentage, and then they'd take the government money and buy the merchandise and resell it. So basically, the government was sponsoring illegal sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy,
I
isn't
didn't
it?
know that was a business.
Yeah, subculture.
Yeah.
It was a whole different world.
So let's talk about your community involvement.
Oh yeah,
Do you do a lot?
that's probably one of the most rewarding things I do. I'll be honest with you. Outside of getting married and having kids and having a grandkid and all these kind of life events, being community involvement to me has been the most rewarding part of my life. It really has. Why? because you make a difference. Anyone can write a check to make a donation. And donations are important. Make a donation to whatever charity you want, whether it be Rotary, fighting polio, whatever we're doing. But giving your time is altogether different.
Yeah.
You can always earn back money. You can't earn back time. That's why, and you make a difference.
Yeah.
You make a difference by giving your time, by getting out there and getting involved.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think I see, on a random Saturday, I spend an hour, whatever it's, and then I go and I see a side of the community I never get to see, and I see how my hour, like with the ADMH run, the way it impacts these people, and they love it, and they look forward all year to this event. It really impacts these people's
Makes a
lives.
difference. You make a difference.
Yeah.
It gives you a purpose. It gives you a purpose. I'm reading it's a fantastic book, Man's Destiny, about this guy in a concentration camp. It's a slow read because you read it, you just kind of put it down. It's like, whoa. But he says the people that survived the camps had a purpose that kept them going.
Yeah.
It kept them going. But it's making a difference in this world. Making a difference in this world. It doesn't have to be a big difference, even a small way.
When you're, maybe a young guy like me and you want to make a difference, maybe you don't know where or how, what would you tell them to do?
I would ask them what your passion is. What your passion is. If your passion is Bible study and you're a Christian, then get involved in your church. If your passion is working out, find a place where you can coach young underprivileged people, teach them how to get healthy and fit. I mean, they're out there. There's so many different options.
Yeah.
Depends what your passion is, what you like doing.
With all of your unique life experience, what's a piece of advice you think that everyone should know?
Listen with your ears. Listen with your ears. If you've got to make an important decision, I tell people this: put together your own advisory board. God forbid you've got to make a health decision. Got a bad report from a doctor. Talk to some people that you trust. Bring them in. Leave your ego at the door and say, just got this report. I need some advice, who to go to. And that's taking a little extreme, but if you're thinking of buying a business, put together an advisory board. People that might know something about it you can respect and trust. Pull them in, ask them some questions. And I got that advice from my cousin, self-made. He's been handling Michael Bloomberg's money for the last 50 years. He's very humble, Marty, if you were to meet him. And he grew up family of Holocaust survivors, and that was wise advice because it worked from a very successful guy.
Yeah.
And never go against your gut.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you so much for buying the McAllen's. Gosh, we did a pretty good job.
Of course, we did, yeah. What's the where do you say it's a many great occasions?
Oh, yeah. Only Simchas, only joyous occasions. Amen. Cheers.
Cheers.